All right, joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, Aaron Fitt, D1 Baseball. This is his time of year, and they got it rolling over at D1 Baseball. We'll talk East Carolina and some of the regionals now. Aaron, we appreciate your time, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, Clip. It's that time of year for sure. We're in full grind mode over at D1 Baseball.
No doubt. And this is one 15-minute segment that I didn't think I'd need you to do for us this week, but the Pirates get it done in Clearwater, Florida, winning 4 straight games and winning the AAC tournament. Let's go back all the way beginning of the year, our preseason chat, Aaron, and then we'll catch up to now. You said this would be one of the toughest years for East Carolina to win the AAC. Mostly due, I think, to ECU's roster, and maybe there's some better teams in the American as opposed to years past. But how surprised were you of the way East Carolina played throughout the year and the way UTSA played and really kind of dominated this league from a record standpoint?
Yeah, and UTSA, I think they finished second last year. They had a lot coming back. I mean, we knew they were going to be a formidable challenger. We kind of gave East Carolina the benefit of the doubt heading into the season because they're the Pirates and they're, until proven otherwise, it's their league. And I did say on your show, as you said, the preseason, I mean, there's a reason we weren't ranking them in the top 25 in the preseason. It was because we were expecting this to be a more difficult year. They just lost so much from last year's club, and it was going to take some time for it all to gel. And didn't expect them to finish 10 games out of first place. That was a surprise. I mean, they finished fifth, 10 games back. And then at the end, when it matters most, they still find a way because they're the Pirates. And, even in a down year, a difficult year, they're here, they're back in the postseason. And that's just huge I think it's huge for the program, that you can still find a way when you don't have your best, your best season. You still find a way back to the postseason to keep that streak going. And it's a testament certainly to their perseverance and their toughness and resilience and their coaching.
Aaron Fitt joining us when he saw the regionals released. He tweeted out yesterday that the Conway regional was juicy, and you say that'll be your destination this weekend, and you can't wait. What makes Coastal, Florida, ECU, Fairfield juicy, Aaron?
Just think it's a great regional. I mean, Fairfield's a good 4 seed. I mean, this program, if you recall, they actually got at large a few years ago in 2021 and made a regional final down in Austin, knocked out Arizona State. So they've got a little bit of pedigree. Obviously, East Carolina, speaking of pedigree, pedigree galore. I know it's not the same roster they've had the last few years, but they just showed you last week, 4 games, how dangerous they can be, when they're in that kind of do or die mode, and the condensed pitching staff. I was wondering if they had the horses in the mound to get it done, and they found a way. So, Florida, we all know. I mean, it's a 2 seed that nobody wanted in their regional. Last year, they were one of the last teams in the field as a 3 seed, and they went to Omaha. And this year, they had again kind of a rough first half and some injury stuff they had to deal with, and we kind of wrote them off. And here they are, 2 seed, almost got themselves back into hosting. Tons of pedigree, over the last 2 decades now under Kevin O'Sullivan. I mean, nobody's been to Omaha more, and they're just a program that wins regionals like it's their job. And so they're always scary. You see them coming in there. And of course, Coastal, for my money, one of the very best pitching staffs in the country. It's not the usual Coastal Carolina team that you think about where it's just a bunch of home runs and, hope and pray on the mound. This team has elite pitching, and to do that in that ballpark, it's kind of like what Wake Forest did a few years ago when they led the nation in ERA in a homer dome. I mean, so is Conway, but this team can really pitch, and they've got enough offense, but it's certainly not the kind of elite offense you typically think of at Coastal. So I just think it's a fascinating field, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Looking at ECU's opponent on Friday, Florida, Aaron, and just looking at their schedule yesterday, we were doing kind of a live watch party for the selection show. And what they did the last 5 or 6 conference series was incredible. The sweeps, the beating top 5, top 10 teams on the road, 2 to 3 in a series. So they certainly figured it out second half of the year. What is, and they probably have a bunch of them, Aaron, but what is their strength? What should Pirate fans be concerned about when it comes to the Gators?
Well, certainly they have real arm talent. It's the kind of arm talent that when they're on, they can shut down anybody in the country. I mean, Liam Peterson and the freshman Aiden King was very talented, and your Pierce Coppola, the big lefty who's battled injuries throughout his career. He's tantalized with incredible talent. I mean, it's like an Andrew Miller, Nick Lodolo type, big, tall, you know, angular lefty that gives you a tough look with real stuff. And he's finally healthy, for the first time maybe in his career for, more than a week at a time. Right now, he's going good. If he throws enough strikes, and he has been throwing strikes, that guy's a real weapon. So I would say those names, Jake Clement as well, and Luke McNeely, like all those guys, we're talking elite arms, mid to high 90s, wipeout sliders, all the whole works. That to me stands out most about their team. But also, I mean, there is firepower in the lineup. Maybe not as much, again, like Coastal, maybe not as much as you're used to seeing from Florida. But Colby Shelton and Bobby Bozer and Brady Dene, those guys can all hurt you. Luke Heyman can as well, but he's out. I hear with I think a fractured forearm. They're starting catcher. That's a big loss right before the postseason. So that's we'll see how they handle that. That's a big, big loss for them. But they do have some firepower in the lineup. It's definitely not as deep of a lineup as they've had. And they've been without Cade Curlin, one of their best players for the entire second half as well. So it hasn't been easy for these guys, but they do just have so much talent. They've been able to kind of overcome that. But now you've got one more loss, at a crucial time. So that'll be fascinating to see.
Aaron Fitt, D1 Baseball, joining us today on Pirate Radio Live. And Aaron, another thing that makes for a good game, a good regional, and this could go for any sport, but when you got a good crowd, an energized crowd, a packed house, just makes any event better. And, man, should be some awesome crowds this weekend. I know Pirate fans bought tickets in the bunches yesterday. Coastal's going to be showing up in full force. So from that standpoint, I'm sure you're excited about it as well.
Yeah, I think the atmosphere has a chance to be pretty electric, and I'm kind of curious, to see how well Pirate fan shows up because usually they do. Uh, Last time I was down there, though, for the UTSA series, it was the bad a crowd as I've seen it at Clark
Yeah.
LeClaire, and so I mean I get it why they were checked out a little bit. They were way down in the standings, but let's see if they can rally. Come on, Pirate Nation, let's see you guys rally and show up in numbers. I want some atmosphere down there in Conway.
All right, Aaron Fitt calling you out, Pirate fans. Show up coming up
Come on.
this weekend. Aaron, let's look around the state real quick. Obviously, North Carolina getting hot, is hot at the exact right time. How about the other teams in the state, Aaron, when it comes to Wake, Duke, NC State? What's kind of your quick overview of what we're going to see this tournament from the in-state teams?
They all feel dangerous. And obviously, North Carolina right now, they just ascended to number one in our top 25 rankings for the first time ever, actually, which is a
Oh,
little
wow.
surprising. But we launched our site in 2015, and they had not been number one until this week. So it's not obviously one of the title favorites right now. NC State, I think people are maybe forgetting about a little bit because they kind of fizzled at the very end of the year. They had a chance to host a regional, had a chance to win the league. They didn't do either one of those things, but there is a lot of mound talent there. It's a bullpen that can really shut you down with Anderson Nance and Jacob Duden, of course. They were in Omaha last year. Like East Carolina, like Florida, like a lot of these teams, there's a lot of turnover in the lineup. It's not as offensive a team as it was, and it has been in most years at NC State. But I think their pitching gives them a chance down there at Auburn. And Wake Forest, also a 2 seed on the road at Tennessee, tough place to play, but they're a power hitting team. That's a power hitting ballpark. They have certainly the arms to beat anybody if they're sharp. It's been a little up and down for Wake on the mound this year. Pitching and defense has been a bit of a question mark, but if they're playing well, I mean, it's Omaha talent and really high ceiling on that team, and Duke as well. I mean, 2 seed back down in Athens. They've won a regional in Athens before. It is a team that has power. Again, it's a power hitters ballpark down there. Stop me if you've heard that before. There's a lot of home run friendly yards around the SEC, but they can drive it out of the park. They can mix and match you on the mound. It's not like your front line starters are going to give you a lot of length, but Duke has had success with this formula before where they can mix and match. And that's what they're going to have to do down there. So all of those teams really capable of making noise, winning regionals, getting to Omaha. Kind of intrigued to see how it goes because they all also have flaws. So there's not really a team that's like a clear cut favorite, I guess you would say. I mean, except for North Carolina. I mean, everybody else has a lot to prove.
Aaron Fitt joining us. Great breakdown. Aaron Fitt, D1 Baseball. Aaron, we watch the NCAA basketball tournament every year, hoping for the upsets, and we see them just about every year. We didn't really in this past one. So, as I ask you, there's going to be a 3 or 4 likely to win one of these things. We say that. Will it happen? I don't know, but if it does happen, who are the likely candidates, Aaron? A 3 or 4 seed that you like in one of these regionals?
Been trying hard to find one. I've got some two seeds that I like. I think in my picks, I don't think I picked a three seed to win a regional this year. And you're right, you usually do get one or two. I think last year we had a few. I do wonder if we're going to see something more like basketball, where there's less parity now because
Yeah.
of the NIL stuff and the portal stuff. I don't know if we'll see more of a condensing of power, but there's some three seeds that are dangerous. I mean, Kansas State. I saw them early in the year, 2 weeks in a row against very good competition, and they looked awesome. But they've had an up and down year. We'll see which version of them shows up. I think Arizona State is dangerous out there in LA, a team that kind of gets a second life after squeaking in off the bubble. I think Mississippi State down in Tallahassee. I mean, that's a good regional. Like Northeastern's won 27 games in a row. That's your two seed.
Man.
Florida State, we all know how good they are, and especially at home. But Mississippi State is dangerous. So that's another one that stands out to me. Maybe even Oklahoma State with their power. Again, we talked about Athens being a hitter-friendly park. So there are three seeds. I mean, even Kentucky could make some noise. They won a series at Knoxville this year. They can really give you a hard time with their running game and their small ball. They're going to Clemson now. And hey, the Pirates, right? I mean, the way they're playing right now, they're on the board as well for me. So I didn't pick any three seats, but there's a lot of them that it does feel like could make some noise.
Aaron Fitt, D1 Baseball, joining us. A lot of baseball junkies around these parts, Aaron, and everybody's craving that content here in the next few days before we get rolling on Friday. So tell the folks what you got going on right now at D1 Baseball. I know it's a lot, but what would you like to highlight that you guys have going on?
Yeah, come check out the bracket challenge. You can enter your own picks there. It's free. You can create a group to compete with your friends and have bragging rights there. And there are prizes available from a variety of our sponsors. So check out the bracket challenge. We also have all kinds of preview content, of course, going. We got our podcasts. We got all of each of our 16 regional breakdowns. We got statistical stuff. A lot of content right now at d1baseball.com.
Awesome stuff, Aaron. Thank you so much for joining us, man. Enjoy Conway, South Carolina this weekend, and hopefully we can talk to you next week about the Pirates advancing. That'd be great. But appreciate your time as always, Aaron, and man, it's going to be fun. Enjoy it.
All right. Thanks, Clip.